there's a lot of similarities between discipline and ownership, but I did want to just touch on that, which is being accountable for the results of your actions. You can't fail. If you can't admit failure, how are you ever going to learn?
Tell me a little bit more about the discipline and what that meaning is to you, your organization.
Sure. So for me, this one and the next, ownership, took me a long time to define, actually.
Okay.
Discipline: do the things you say you're going to do. That's what I finally came down to it. Are you disciplined enough to do the task? And really, what I look at is something that I feel like others tell me I do this very well, and I feel like I'm a very modest person, but I when I go out to do something, I don't just start it, but I finish it. And when I finish it, I always want to make sure that the you know what, I learned this from an old manager. The old manager said, I don't care how good you did it. And this is coming from my days as a tech, and I still do it. But he said,
Okay.
I don't care how well you finish that project. Make that person sit down in the chair and do whatever it is that you just fixed, because there's a possibility that they may do it completely different and it still doesn't work. So that's kind of where I look at the discipline side of it.
Okay.
And are you disciplined enough to not only do the task, perform the work, but to actually ask the person that needs to perform that job to do it with you sitting right in front of them and be judged to see if you did it right or not.
Interesting. So since they're validating your resolution or what you fixed, because they might be doing slightly different, and that I would think also would hope cut down boomerang tickets.
Yeah.
Right. There's tickets coming back because this thing still doesn't work, or they did it slightly different, or there's another piece, another step you didn't take as a technician to see this action or this result. So no, I imagine that would help keep that down.
It does. And
Sure.
I believe that was the reason why it was told to me. It's just like, yeah, we don't want you coming back. At the end of the day, I didn't really, it was like, we can't afford to send you back. So, make sure that thing's working before you walk out the door.
Yeah, especially if there's some distance involved. And obviously today we do, obviously the majority of everything's remote, but there's a point where everything was required for us to physically drive there and go do that thing. Right.
Yeah.
And, that was time and money and miles. And so I can definitely understand that. And your last piece was on learning. And I'm assuming you have not only an aspect of self-improvement in learning, but maybe also learning from mistakes, learning from, experiences.
Yeah. So how I defined learning was continuously challenging yourself and others to grow and apply learned knowledge. So everything you just said, Mark, learn from your mistakes, learn from the outside world. So like I said, these are core values that I created as I started hiring people, and they changed slightly since I created them, but these are the ones that I landed on. I'm someone that always wants to learn, and I always want to just understand and learn new things, and I don't want to just set up like in our industry, it's like, set up a Windows server and like, cool, we're good.
Right.
You got this for another 10 years and we don't have to do another thing with it. It's like, no. I mean, it's just, there's so much out there. There's the cloud, there's Azure, there's servers, there's security. And so when I was thinking of this, I thought, what's the very last thing that I haven't said that I would want someone on the team to desire? And it's a desire to learn, and it's to learn on their own. I mean, like, they want to always be learning and learn from others, learn from their mistakes. Yeah.
No, it's great.
The one other
Fantastic.
piece was ownership that was in between discipline and
Yes.
learning. There's a lot of similarities between discipline and ownership, but I did want to just touch on that, which is being accountable for the results of your actions. So
Oh, nice.
they're kind of the same, and that's where the whole you know, if you do something, own it, and if you
Yeah.
did it wrong, own it. Which is such
Well,
a hard thing to
because
do.
if you own it, now there's opportunity to learn something from that, right? You go back
Exactly.
to and face it.
Exactly. If you can't fail, if you can't admit failure, how are you ever going to learn?
Well, failure, exactly, because failure is opportunities to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and typically what we're doing, Dan, in our businesses, it's not life or death, right? For
No, but
99% of what we're
sometimes I feel
doing.
like it's more important.
Well, the client might think that at times, but
Right. Right.
Just because they can't open Word doesn't mean it's life or death, or something simple.
I'm glad you say that. Oh my
So,
goodness.
I thank you for sharing those. It's interesting to hear,
Yeah.
I guess, the kind of meaning behind those, because I know that here internally, as we kind of defined our core values moving forward, I was really interested in hearing what the team felt they meant, right? Great, we picked these
Yeah.
words, but what do those words truly mean to you? So, recently, as I'm starting on a journey. I'm new to this journey, but it's a journey of change. It's a journey of being better. And part of that journey was looking at, obviously, my organization and going, hey, look, what do we got to do to be better? What can we do to be better? Because there's tons of room for improvement. We've been at a maturity level. I really feel that, I've been very tech focused instead of business focused, right? We're working in the business instead of on the business type of scenario, right? So, okay, let's take a step back and look at these things, and let's put some of this elementary, those things that should have been done 13 years ago, in place. So we said, okay, let's start with core values, right? And the way we handled that was I came up with a list of core values, and I went to Microsoft Forms, threw out an anonymous survey, right? Say, hey, vote on or pick 10. You have to pick 10. No, we're only going to need 5. Pick 10.
Right.
So then we got those back, said, okay, we got a guaranteed majority of this one. So we'll pull this out. Everything that didn't get any votes, we'll pull these out. The ones that were low. And then we're going to reintroduce another form with these core values. And we're going to pick 6.
Yeah.
And then we got this back and said, okay, we don't have ties. We clearly have winners. All right, now let's take those and let's meet as a team and then review those just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Now, mind you, all that was anonymous because I didn't want to single anybody out. I wanted them to be able to vote for what they want without coming back to them and feeling like pressured. So then we met as a team and said, okay, this is what everyone has come up with, right? I mean, we voted. And in my take of this is, look, though my name is tied to the company for responsibility, ultimately, this is our company. And I want my team members, you are the pillars of this company. We are going to build the skyscraper on top of it.
I love
it. I want to know what's important to you as a person. What is important to you for the company that you work for, that you want to work for and continue working for. Let's bring those together.
That's beautiful. I love it.
So as a team, interesting enough, teamwork was unanimous. Absolutely. Everyone voted for teamwork. Okay, awesome. Right. And then, so we kind of had that discussion like, all right, tell me what teamwork means to you.
Yeah.
And just as in a group. And we know that teamwork is teamwork, right? We know how that aligns and basically about sharing experiences, sharing knowledge, working together to accomplish objectives, helping each other, a lot of sharing and exchanging, right? And helping each other when they're in trouble. We're not on we're not on an island by ourselves. We have help, reach out. That's what a team's here for, to support each other. When you're having a bad day, or your strength is in the team. So
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, it didn't used to always be like that either. Where there used to be a lot of islands in our industry, a
yeah,
lot of silos, a lot of islands.
sure.
So I really like that.
Next, as far as when it came to the voting, was accountability. So, and
Yeah.
you start learning about your team members and what's important to them. And to hear that accountability was important to them, like, wow, okay, cool. Number one, I know I don't hold people accountable enough, right? So they're asking for this. They think it's important to them. All right, and then asking what's that mean? And then getting some of the feedback and telling how it helps to that accountability helps to for self improvement. A lot of improvement answers can help identify weaknesses. So once again, so we can improve on those, right?
Yeah.
So everything about the accountability was kind of like you talking about ownership, right? Like taking ownership and then having that accountability to it, and you're going to improve from that. You fail, right?
Oh, yeah.
We learn from that. We're not crucifying anybody. Right? We learn together, we grow together.
That's right. And it's all part of the teamwork. It all kind of goes back to that.
Right. Definitely. And that's why I said a lot of these align with each other, right? They weren't obscure things, like as core values, Mike. And I think a lot of organizations, at least in my limited research, I would like to think a lot of organizations have similar core values. I'd like to think as people that we naturally want a lot of these things.
I know I do.
Well, good. I think so. I heard your values, and they said,
yeah.
Thirdly,
how can you have teamwork if you have one person that's not being accountable?
True. Well, and by them helping to select these, knowing they're important, that accountability piece is much easier to put into play. Yeah. Because face it, as a team, we selected these and we felt that these are important for us. So guess what? Now we can say we can hold each other accountable because we know as accountability is important. Yep. And we talk about recognition and obviously those tools we use. We talk about and other things as being core values. It allows them to obviously appreciate each other by showing that through obviously the specific team values that we've now established. And I see the teamwork one a lot. Yeah. People being thankful for the teamwork, because they help. Even I had a team member yesterday. It was out without internet. And one of the other team members helped her load up some prepaid data so she could still work and function until her internet came back up. I'm like going, that was teamwork, right? Like they paid, she didn't have to do that, but no, she helped her make sure because she didn't have an internet, she couldn't get anything. So her team member from her working computer got everything set up and reactivated so she had data so she could work. And I'm like, hey, that's amazing, right? Like,
yeah, it's not only, it's camaraderie, it's everything. Yeah. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. Thirdly was integrity. And, we talked about, once again, we talked about integrity and that aspect kind of a little bit with you just a few minutes ago. So, and what I thought was interesting is hearing one of our team members come back and say, integrity to this individual was the string that ties all the values together. Ooh. It's like the string, the glue, right? Like the integrity. And obviously, integrity means, but going, hey, that's a really interesting way of seeing that, right? I'm like, I never thought of it that way. But they also talk about doing the right thing, right? Whether it's independently, even when no one is looking or watching.
Yes.
Doing
what are you going to do when no one else is looking? Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially that's really important too when, everyone's working remotely in our organization. So there's not, we're in teams all day, but it's not like we're staring over people's shoulders, watch what they're doing. So knowing that integrity is important to them.
It's so funny. I'm going to give an analogy for a second, but in Texas, we used to have red light cameras and then they got rid of them. And I often see, unfortunately, people run red lights, and I have to wonder, do the people that not run the red lights, if there's no one else around, are they running the red light? Because for me, I don't want that person on my team. If that person is going to do something like that when no one else is looking, what else are they going to do? Right. That's not right when someone else is not looking.
Hi, I'm Mark Thomas, founder and CEO of Current Tech Solutions and Cyber Guardians. We know business owners like you want to focus on growing your company, not worrying about IT problems or security threats. That's where we come in. Our team uses AI to protect your business from cyber risks and keep everything running smoothly. If you're ready for peace of mind and a stronger future, reach out to us today. Let's secure and elevate your business together.